I believed him. I believed his whole story, assuming that you guys had the wrong guy. I wanted to think he was a good guy still.
A mother, a boyfriend, and a 13-year-old girl are gone forever. Was this blindness due to love or complicity?
Sorry. That's okay. Didn't mean to wake you up. I'm going to introduce myself. My name's Mark.
In this video, we explore Jennifer Soto and Stephan Sterns' emotional interrogation, analyzing behavior, body language, and the psychological cues behind the words. Was Jennifer Soto a victim of manipulation or an accomplice in this tragedy? Let's find out. Before Madeline Soto made headlines, she was just an ordinary 8th grader, living with her mother and her mother's boyfriend in a small house in Florida. Her mother, Jennifer Soto, 34, was divorced. She lived on welfare and struggled with mental health issues, including bipolar disorder. In 2020, Jennifer began a relationship with Stephan Sterns, a man of the same age, unemployed, passionate about remote-controlled cars, and often dependent on others. In the eyes of many, Stephan seems friendly and sociable with children. But when men are too close to your daughter, can you be sure everything is okay? No one expected that right in the house that a mother believed was safe would be the beginning of a tragedy that lasted for 3 years without anyone saying anything. Monday morning, February 26, 2024, a morning like any other in St. Cloud, Florida, until 13-year-old Madeline Soto disappeared without a trace. At around 6:30 a.m., Stephan Sterns, Madeline's mother's boyfriend, said he dropped her off near the school, but there was no camera footage of Madeline entering the gate. None of her classmates saw her that day. By the afternoon, her mother, Jen Soto, was getting really worried. She called and texted Madeline, but her daughter's phone remained silent. Finally, they called the police, and that same night, the police began to suspect Stephan's story didn't match up.
And she doesn't come out.
You were in your car?
I was in my car, in the car line, yeah. It's been a few minutes. She should have been out by now, because she's usually one of the first kids. So I start calling her, forgetting that I have her phone on me.
Stephan said he stopped near the school, letting Madeline walk in, but Madeline's phone was left at home. A 13-year-old left his phone behind, didn't go to class. No one saw what really happened.
That's when we drove over to her school area and I dropped her off where I dropped her off.
Okay. Do you remember where you dropped her off?
Yeah, it was, I saw her making her way towards the direction of the school.
As the family and police searched, hundreds of officers from multiple agencies joined the investigation, but the only clues led them back to Jen Soto's home. Jennifer Soto, the victim's mother, walked into the interrogation room at 10 a.m. Her face was tired, her hands clasped together. There were no greetings, no tears, just a long silence. This is a common sign of someone facing a crisis or preparing to hide something.
She got up super early, got up really quick. She slept most of the way in the car. I asked her multiple times if she wanted McDonald's, but she said no. Because that was the plan, was that they were gonna stop at McDonald's that morning and go get breakfast. Everything was normal, we were chatting, we were talking, he was acting normal.
From the very beginning, Jen repeatedly mentions that everything is normal, an unconscious psychological strategy to normalize abnormal behavior, a term called justification framing.
Wait for about an hour and 10 minutes. 4:04, the bell rings, and I'm waiting, I'm the first in line. And she doesn't come out.
You were in your car?
I was in my car, in the car line, yeah.
As she recounted this passage, Jen glanced to the right, a typical direction when the brain is creating rather than remembering. Her voice shook, but her eyes were not red or blurry. unusual for a panicking mother.
So I ended up actually turning around at some point and going back to the community to get the clicker. But we still had plenty of time as far as I knew. So we did that, grabbed the clicker, left again. And that's when we drove over to her school area and I dropped her off where I dropped her off.
Okay. Do you remember where you dropped her off?
Yeah, it was, I dropped her off on that stretch where the communities are.
Answer definitively, but avoid details. This is a common technique in avoidance behavior. The fewer details, the less likely it is to be contradicted later.
But I didn't want to believe that he had done anything evil to her. I'm like, no, what if he did this stuff fine, but what if she's still missing out there? What if somebody took her? I still wanted to believe I believed him. I believed his whole story. I wanted to think he was a good guy still, but clearly he's not. After everything you guys have told me and have shown me, I know he's the worst person.
This was the turning point. Before, Jen had tried everything to believe that the man she lived with could not be the culprit, but the evidence was too clear.
I wanted to think he was a good guy still, but clearly he's not. After everything you guys have told me and have shown me, I know he's the worst person.
It was the first time Jen's eyes met mine. Her hands were no longer clasped. They were drawn to her chest instead, a late emotional defense. But there is one thing that no one is sure of. Did Jen really know nothing during the 3 years she lived with the person who caused the most terrible thing to her daughter?
You guys had the wrong guy. I wanted to think he was a good guy still, but clearly he's not. After everything you guys have told me and have shown me, I know he's the worst person.
It was the harshest sentence Jen had ever uttered during the hours-long interrogation. But what made the police suspicious was not the words, but what was missing: emotion. No tears, no trembling voice, no collapse. This is a manifestation of blunted affect, a flat emotional state often seen in people who are trying to suppress the truth or are not truly suffering. Less than a minute earlier, Jen had said, "I wanted to think he was a good guy still." The rapid shift from hope to hatred is a sign of cognitive dissonance.
I wanted to think he was a good guy still, but
That's when we drove over to her school area and I dropped her off where I dropped her off.
Okay. Do you remember where you dropped her off?
Yeah, it was,
This statement is a classic example of minimization language, reducing the level of detail to avoid contradiction. Let's compare the innocent and the speaker.
school, everything went over great. She got up super early, got up really quick. She slept most of the way in the car. I asked her multiple times if she wanted McDonald's, but she said no.
Here is the innocent person's words and details. Time: got up super early. Behavior: slept in the car. Emotional interaction: I asked her.
That's when we drove over to her school area and I dropped her off where I dropped her off.
Okay.
Lies that are not specific about location, time, and feelings. Stephan's posture remained almost unchanged throughout the interrogation. His arms were always crossed. His eyes were not making direct contact. This was a manifestation of the freezing posture, a self-imposed locking posture, an unconscious reaction when he did not feel threatened. A mother who does not cry, a friend who is not afraid, but the eyes and the language tell a different story. The interrogation ends, but the suspicion has just begun. After hours of interrogation, hundreds of questions and heavy silences, the investigators finally got what they needed. Not a clear confession, but a broken look in the eyes.
I dropped her off.
Where?
I dropped her off on the road to school. That was the last I saw her.
Here's where I'm going to be brutally honest with you. There's pictures of you on your phone. And I'm pretty sure you know what some of those pictures are about.
Stephan never officially said, "I did it," but the evidence is beyond words. His Google Drive contains indisputable videos, blood in the trunk, and GPS stops to where Madeline's body was last found. Stephan is charged with first-degree murder, child abuse, and desecration of a corpse. He is being held without bail at Osceola County Jail. And Jennifer Soto? She was not charged, but questions about her role have never gone away.
I'm not protecting him.
But you knew he was a predator when you got shown the picture. And then you text his dad that he needs a lawyer, and you hope that he invoked, was the words I was told.
What?
You hope that he didn't talk to us. He needs a lawyer.
No.
All over a picture. You didn't care. You didn't care then? Oh, 2 days since you probably found out, or 1 day since you found out she was murdered. Do I believe you?
Maybe she had no hand in Madeline's death, but did she close her eyes to the truth? Out of fear, out of dependence, or out of an attempt to protect someone she once loved? Justice has caught up with the culprit, but for the mother who lost her child, will any sentence erase the silence she has kept for so long? Jen Soto, a victim of manipulation, or someone who stayed silent for too long to protect the devil?